a short background. After a recent Yoga of Integrity course with you, I felt the need to check my meditation technique and decided to learn transcendental meditation. At this point, I'd been meditating daily for approximately 18 months, but I'd never had any formal teaching. I completed my TM course at the beginning of September, and I've been using this technique ever since. Questions? Now that I've done your Samadhi course, I am in a bit of a quandary. Should I continue with TM or should I favor the Hamsa meditation, as they both object-based meditations? I have assumed that they are interchangeable, and I've been practicing both, but I wondered whether a consistent technique is desirable and whether the Hamsa meditation is preferable. My second question is regarding the length of time one should meditate for. Obviously, as a householders, most of us will be limited to our daily timetables and responsibilities. But I wondered whether there is an optimal time. Is there a balance between too little and too much, particularly for those of us trying to navigate a Kundalini process? And there is this addition, which I will leave for after. So, okay, so let's resolve your quandary and make it very simple. If this was maybe some other time, I would have even said carry on with your TM practice and occasionally introduce Hamsa meditation. But today and right now, I will tell you that good to know that you're not regretting taking the TM course, as you later stated in your additional part here, which I will read in a moment. But since you have taken this course now, and you have a Kundalini process, then frankly, TM meditation is useless for you now. Because TM meditation, as that, what TM meditation is known for, not its advanced techniques, certainly not as TM-CD program, TM, basic TM, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, is designed for that daily transcendence, for that kind of, like, if you will, mental hygiene, brushing your teeth in the morning and the evening, brushing, cleaning your body of the excess of accumulated impressions, right, stress-free. But as it is not really enough for a transformation of consciousness, and in my experience, not at all applicable when there is a full Kundalini process, or even if there is a Kundalini process on its way, because it doesn't provide a platform enough to hold and support that process. You see? You are in another realm now. So therefore, I would just, without a shadow of a doubt, will tell you that it's better if you stick with Hamsa meditation, which is all about harnessing Kundalini process. The very, very basics of the Hamsa meditation, right, which is, by the way, considered belonging to one of the most ancient of Gayatri mantras, the mantras of the Devi, the mantras of the goddess, that Gayatri mantra, which is known very well to all those who studied this a little bit. Hamsa Hamsaye Vidmahe Parahamsaye Dhimmahi Tanno Hamsa Prachodayat. This is the invocation, you see, of the goddess, of which exemplified in our own breathing, as our own breathing. And to approach the goddess, we pay tribute, respect to her through attentively tending to the subtlety of our breathing, so as to appease the goddess. You see? So the Hamsa meditation is very profound methodology precisely at harnessing the Kundalini process. Not specifically to activate. There are of course, mantras that meant to ignite Kundalini. Literally ignite Kundalini, because the sound positioned in such a way so as to create that friction which gives almost like if we trust to what the scriptures say, it can awaken the serpent there and then. We don't do that. So therefore, it's acting here in a twofold way. For those who undergoing Kundalini process, Hamsa meditation acts as appeasing and as that what can become a spiritual practice to guide the process. And for those in whom it is not, it's preparing, harnessing everything for Kundalini awakening. Okay? Length of time, too much or too little. Well, if you recall part on minimum, right, as that measurement of time, that unit, it required, right, remember, 21, 22 minutes. It's that module of time, which in Indian tradition is required for the mind to settle down. So I would say that it individually tailored, but if you can meditate half an hour, at least half an hour in the process, if you already have the Kundalini process, and later your audition also reveals that you have Kriyas, so therefore there needs to be this enough time for giving for the body to vibrate. So therefore, too much or too little, I would say I wouldn't go anywhere to sit any long hours. So let's say from half an hour to an hour of program from time to time. It's a good thing. So if you know you don't have much to do on a certain day, let's say, I don't know, weekend, now we all locked in, so whatever, you don't need to do too much. So you can give more to the sitting. But even then, I would not go into this lengthy sittings. I would recommend to do it more like, let's say, you can do 3 meditations a day if you want. You can have 40 minutes sitting, then 20 minutes lying down, and then proceeding with your day. Then do another meditation in, let's say, 2-3 hours by midday. And then again, 40 minutes sitting, 20 minutes lying down resting. Then carry on with your day, whatever. And then do another sitting in the evening. But on a daily basis, if you are busy with the household activities and engagements, then half an hour of sitting and at least a few minutes laying down, resting your spine, especially if meditation was quite deep, if it was accompanied by Kriyas, so as to let your spine rest. I think that would be fine. Okay? The prolonged sitting should come spontaneously, and there have to be some kind of alignment in your life where it will almost create a container, a possibility, when you can do that. Then it will become almost natural that you are in such phase in your life where these sittings become hourly rather than minutes, because they spontaneously, you sit down to meditate and you don't even know how much time have passed. You close your eyes, you open your eyes, 1 hour have gone. But you need to be positioned in such a way where you can afford to have that luxury in nowadays. Okay, so in this now an addition from you. I was interested to hear your comments on Saturday about how spiritual teachers and organizations don't address the messy reality of spiritual awakenings. I must admit, another motivation for learning TM was that I thought it would provide me with a source of support. I actually live half an hour away from the Golden Dome in the UK. I was shocked and disappointed to learn that such a large institution with an abundance of spiritual knowledge and such high standards of teaching doesn't discuss Kundalini or Kriyas, etc. I certainly don't feel able to confide to my TM teacher that I've been experiencing Kriyas for 18 months. I'm not certain that he'd know what they are or take me seriously. Don't misunderstand me. I don't regret learning TM. I'm loving the community and the online group meditations, and etc. But I'm disappointed at this gaping hole. Almost feel it's negligent not to address these matters. Is that too harsh? Well, again, this is a very big topic, very big and uncomfortable topic. The reason why spiritual organizations of this volume, of this scale, established, and also TM has this reputation for being validated by scientific studies, so therefore it has this kind of like added quality and value to it. So therefore one would expect that nothing was swept under the carpet because there's nothing to worry about, everything can be perfectly looked into. However, that's not the case. How it happened, I cannot talk about this because I do not know. We can only speculate or assume how it might have happened. In the large organizations such as TM, the gap between the founder and the leader of the organization that Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was, and his governors and the body of the institution that he has created, became to grow with time. Whenever there is a hierarchy, with the hierarchy, there are certain policies begin to appear. Some of these policies of various kinds. I'm not going to go on a level of direct examples and so forth. Suffice to say is that, yes, I'm here to say that TM organization has a massive lapse in understanding and guidance when it comes to real experiences of its members and followers, despite the fact that it freely offers advanced techniques. In fact, TM organization is just as guilty of keeping this information at bay from potential participants as any other organization, for whatever reasons. These reasons are often one way or the other linked to finances, greater policies, perhaps a reputation that some people think might suffer as a result of a greater transparency and exposure. What I can say is that there are just as many, if not more, cases of casualties of awakening observed in TM movement as anywhere else in my career, in my experience of working with people, including that of transcendental meditation teachers, qualified to initiate and guide others. For example, I might relax this part and give you insight into something which was very dear to me at some point, and this goes all the way back to when I was still going through my own process. And yet, when I would go back to Uzbekistan on a regular basis, which I did for many years, and I would meet the community, which became my spiritual family, I was, because it was maybe further away from the administrative centers, that I was allowed to have that audience of the TM meditators there. And people confined into me. And in private, I had TM teachers confined into me. And there was this case, which then reappeared, interestingly enough, in other countries, where a TM teacher with 15 or 20 years of experience was experiencing psychic attacks whilst sitting. Can you imagine? And I'm not talking about psychic attacks that someone is just like kind of coming into her imaginary field. What I'm going to say now may sound to some of you utterly rubbish and improbable. She actually had scars on her body from these attacks. Physical scars, not mental scars, physical. It's as if she was whipped on her back. Okay? She was a lady with a Muslim background. And when we did program together, back in the days when I was going through my own process, this I'm talking about maybe 2002, so nearly 20 years ago, it became apparent to me, some information came that something is really working very strongly from that ancestry level. And what we did is we did just few sittings together, and I guided her and I talked to her. What I did, I just simply gave her that attitude in meditation when she encountered these attacks. And it stopped there and then, immediately. For many, many years, a woman who was guiding others was under repeated psychic attacks. Do you think she was not tired with this? Do you think she was able to go and confine to the TM leader of the organization? No, she wasn't. She confined to me in tears, broken down, because she's tired to live in hiding, tired from that experience itself, tired to live double life. Another thing that is deplorable is the promises that many spiritual organizations do when they speak of spiritual methodologies, that they will give one a shield of invincibility, impenetrable. And this is also a great, great exaggeration. As a matter of fact, a very dear to me people, whom I counted as friends, among them were TM teachers as well, who meditated for a good half of their life, contracted cancer, contracted illnesses that destroyed and ruined their physiology. Very often, not that late in their life. So these all are very important questions and facts that we should not shy away from if we want to understand where are we venturing as earthlings in terms of this very pertinent time in our shared history. Because if someone, there are a lot of, I was there myself. I was there carrying the flag and shouting hooray. In fact, the less I knew and less understanding I had, the more zealous I was in my persuasion that this is how it is. Reality is much more apparently turned out to be unpredictable, complex, unique. And that's what we're working here with. This is our responsibility. To me, personally, this is a responsibility to the family of meditators where I came from. So therefore, I did not omit this part, what you added to your question. And if you do confine to your TM teacher, 90% of chances that he will dismiss what you're going through. Or else he will say that you're doing something wrong, or else he will tell you that you simply needs to do a checkup. You see? This will be the worst suggestion. So if he will dismiss it, it will actually be the least harm done. There is 10% that you will run onto someone who himself or herself knowledgeable enough, honest enough, and courageous enough to address this. You see? So I can't advise you, but seems to me from the way you write, you have very sound assessment of the situation. So I would say, just don't worry about it, okay? There's no need to confine your teacher about having Kriyas for 18 months, because TM organization does not work with that vocabulary. So it's a whole thing that needs to be reevaluated there. Yes, you might be also simply be given the explanation that you are unstressing, which, if you listened attentively enough, that also holds true. Kriyas of different kind. Kriyas that we experience can be due to the resolution of certain unprocessed information. But there are also Kriyas as a display of the language, that secret, dim, secret language of the goddess, of that language which manifests itself through mudras, attitudes, postures, that also can be displayed in harmonization, vocalization, divine singing. All these are not due to the release of stress. It's a display of the power of the goddess, a different side to the process. But to draw the line between where we are unstressing, as it is routinely repeated in TM movement, and where it is a different side to the process, is not that easy. So a regular TM teacher cannot be given this information. So therefore they were trained to deliver just that, a technique, a TM technique, and Maharishi referred to it as such. No more, no less. It's a technique. So get acquainted with the technique, get proficient with it, and work with this. Albeit we live in a different time. A lot has happened since then. And even then, when advanced programs were introduced by Maharishi, by then TM organization was already highly hierarchical in structure. And my fear is no feedback was ever given to Maharishi, neither by TM CD leaders who conducted these programs, nor by TM leaders of the organization who were supervising this. So he was living in a vacuum of information, perhaps for a very long time. So therefore, somehow, that vacuum grew into these unspoken topics. So whenever someone will speak to that, then a quick response would need to be given, usually rooted in dismissal, usually rooted in, don't worry about it, okay? Just carry on. Yes, in some cases, that might be the very needed answer. Okay, shake here, don't worry about it, just carry on, okay? The process will adjust itself. But we know that that's not always the case. So therefore, we give as much attention and time to speak about this, to bring the understanding, to educate now those for whom this process happens, and a lot of people out there and here in our course experience this. This is a daily reality people live with now. It's no longer a kind of too rare phenomenon to be noticeable. So these are my reflections on this timely addition to the questions that you brought. Thank you.